So do deadlines actually make sense in software projects? The answer, as usual, it depends. And here's on what. I'm sure quite a lot of you know the situation where you kind of get to know a deadline. So you know, okay, I have to deliver something until this deadline, and you don't even know what, because the requirements are just not clear, and because people are still discussing and requirements are still being elicited. And yeah, that's kind of like a thing, because oftentimes this leads to a lot of pressure, or a lot of perceived pressure in the engineering department. And maybe you might ask yourself, well, do I actually need this? And what I would say, it depends on what type of business you are. So say you're like an IT service provider, like an IT consultancy that is implementing like some software for another company. And then typically you will most probably have deadlines, obviously, right? Because the client will say, okay, I need this to be done until that and that date. And that makes a lot of sense, right? If you're like a client, you want to know when something will be shipped. And that's totally legit. You're probably not going to get around deadlines in that regard. However, if you have a pure software product, and your software product is more like a software as a service product, I don't know, some online application, and you're not like a service provider, like in that regard, you just have a product that you keep selling, and then you have like some upgrades from time to time. In that regard, I would say you don't really need deadlines, right? Because the most effective strategy would just be to say, okay, I'll look at my business, I'll look at the data I have, and then I identify the top 1, 2, 3 things that would like help us to grow, or that would reduce costs significantly. And this is the thing that I'm working on. And once you're done with that, so it takes as long as it takes, right? Then you just say, okay, then you just do this process again. Or in fact, it's more like a continuous evaluation, right? So you do that on a constant basis, because you're never really complete if you offer that kind of service, right? And that can actually make a lot of sense, right? Because you have the freedom to kind of develop like features, and to not have like these hard deadlines. But of course, you need to make sure that you're actually working on the right thing, obviously. So if you do that, you need to be very sure that whatever you're working on and whatever you're shipping actually is the thing that customers want. And then you also get into like the notion of, usability testing, and I don't know, some questionnaires and these kind of things that you need to send out to your users to find out what they actually want. Because most of the time it's like different than what you might think. Yeah, so that's my take on deadlines. You will probably need to live with them. So in most cases, you will have them. However, if you are working like, if you have your own product, if you have a SaaS, for example, and you don't have any like contractual agreements that force you to deliver a certain thing until a certain date, then you can probably afford to just say, okay, I'm going to work on the most important thing. And once I'm done with that, I'm going to just pick the next most important thing. And you pick the most important thing by being data-driven, by listening to your customers. Yeah, so that's my take on deadlines. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe. And you can also reach out to me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @ProductionCoder. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.